this episode of the Russell Brown Show, I'm going to demonstrate how to take an image as you see here in Adobe Photoshop Touch and transfer it to the Adobe Cloud as you see here. We'll transfer it here, then we'll be able to download it directly into Adobe Photoshop running on our desktop and continue our project from there. Okay, let's get started and let's go right over to Adobe Photoshop Touch where I have a multi-layered document right here. Now I want to add a special feature here that's not available in Photoshop on my desktop, just to show you how you can work between the two programs and exchange the different features you find in both. For example, if I target my base layer and go to this menu up here, my effects menu, I can go down here to a new feature called watercolor paint. Now this does not exist in Photoshop, but it does exist here and it adds a really great effect. I'm going to apply that as you see here. Now I want to bring this document over to Adobe Photoshop on my desktop and continue my project. So I'm going to go over here and save a copy just like this. Now if I save the image, it will write over my existing document, but if I save a copy, I have a brand new copy as you see right here. Now I'm going to go to this menu right here at the top, tap here, and select Upload to Creative Cloud right here. Now I need to identify the image that I want to upload, and it's this image that I just finished by selecting it. Notice that I've selected a PSDX file format right here. This will then maintain the layers that I've created here inside of Adobe Photoshop Touch, and it'll transfer them over to Photoshop on my desktop. I'm going to select OK. It now wants me to identify the folder in which I'm going to transfer this, but in this case, I'm just going to upload it into the master directory. Now it's started the transfer. Let's go back over here, and let's transfer back over here to my desktop web application right here. This is where the image is going to arrive. This is my Creative Cloud storage right here. And there's our image. What I want to do now is to click on this image and display it here inside of my web application. So here's my finished project here on the Creative Cloud. Over here to the right, you'll notice this icon right here. I can now download this image directly to my desktop. I'm going to click on that, and I want to download the original image, the one with the layers. Selecting Download. Now I want to point something out at this time, here under my Apps right here. To make this possible, you must make sure that you've loaded the Touch Apps plugin that you see right here under your Apps tab right here. When this Touch Apps plugin is installed, it will give you the ability to open up this special file format called PSDX. Let's now switch over to Adobe Photoshop and open up our image. Okay, here we are inside of Photoshop. Let's go to the File menu and select Open, and go ahead and open up the PSDX file as you see here. So this is the exact same image that I had inside of Adobe Photoshop Touch, but now it's here inside of Photoshop. Check it out. I have all of my layers and I can turn them on and off as you see here. So let's finish up this project, for example, by selecting one of these layers. Then we can go up to the Filter menu and down to something like Lens Correction as you see here. So lens correction does not exist inside of Photoshop Touch, but it does here, so I can make an adjustment just like this, click OK, and I can then add an adjustment that's only found here in Photoshop. So you can see that I can start with a watercolor effect on Photoshop Touch and then add a lens correction here inside of Photoshop to finish up my project. I could then continue to add additional effects and finish up my project here inside of Photoshop. There's one other great feature that I want to talk about, and it's right over here back in Adobe Photoshop Touch. In this project, I tapped here on the top of the screen, and I selected to upload to Creative Cloud, and then targeted an image. That's one technique, but another technique is right over here. If I click on this icon, my Creative Cloud icon, you can see here that I can synchronize my images between my tablet and the Adobe Creative Cloud. If I click here, I can turn on the synchronization. This means that any adjustments or changes that I make to images here on my iPad will automatically be uploaded to the Adobe Creative Cloud. It's a great way of working because you have all of your documents with you wherever you go, even if you're not connected to the cloud. Then when you work on the documents and make adjustments, it will then automatically upload them back into the Creative Cloud when you come within the connection of a Wi-Fi signal. It's a great feature. Keep that in mind as well when working on projects like this, when you're transferring files between Adobe Photoshop Touch and Adobe Photoshop on your desktop. Now you know.